Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Show It Live here on showittier.com. I am Field Denny, and I'll be your host as we go through today's show, and we welcome the amazing Luke and Kat on from lukeandkat.com. So really excited to have them on. Before we get to them, we have a couple of good things to go over. Over here on the left-hand side of me, over here on the side, there's this awesome little chat window where you can log in, tell us where you're chatting from or where you're viewing from. This should be the same thing, but tell us where you're viewing from, and then if you have any questions throughout the show, we'll do our best to get to those specifically at the end. Luke and Kat said they'd be willing to take any questions from you guys, so definitely log in, let us know where you're chatting from. Now today, something special, we wanted to show off this amazing site that Katie Dursky did for Melissa, I believe it's Desjardins. It's a super awesome site. But here it is. My favorite part about it is the Meet Melissa page. Now this is the about pages are always really fun because you get to find out a little bit more about the photographers, but I just love this. It's so bright and colorful. The brand goes across beautifully. You can click to find out more about her. These nice little custom widgets, custom arrows. Oh, she's a daredevil. She's adventurous. She has tattoos and loves eating chocolate. Who doesn't love eating chocolate? Speaking of chocolate, there's like 3 pieces left in the Denny household after Easter. So that got me really wanting to go home super fast. But it's a beautiful site. Go check it out, melissadesjardins.com. Really hard to spell, but JT put it up on the bottom there for you guys, so you can go check it out. It's a beautiful site, great work, and awesome job, Katie Dursky. That was a very, very well done site. So in addition to that and the beautiful website that was created, we announced something big at WPPI this year. Show It did, and that was that Show It is now doing WordPress blog hosting. And so I wanted to remind you guys about that. It's super awesome. We're doing WordPress blog hosts. They're extremely fast. They streamline with your Show It site, so everything works beautifully. You can just go to showitaccount.com and you log in there. That's also where you can view your messages and check out the Show It to Your map and do other fun stuff. But right when you log in the upper left-hand corner, there's a little area where you can set up, you can get started to having Show It host your blog. It's really neat. It's really quick, and that'll be your window. It'll show you the process as you're going through. It'll show you like what's pending and all of that. And some key points about Show It blog hosting is we do all the heavy lifting for you. Our team migrates everything for you. So that's always the biggest pain when you're looking at setting up a new blog or migrating your old blog over. And we do all of that for you. Other key features is it's optimized for speed. We do more than just host it. We do something called manage it, but that's way over my head. But you can find out more about it at showitblog.com. And it's super great. You can read all about it. And one of the really cool things, it's all included in your subscription price. So there's no additional cost for us to host your blog. So head on over to showitaccount.com, get started, get us all your proper information first, and it makes it really quick. But go ahead and get started, and we'd love to host your guys' blogs. It's something that we're really excited about here over at Show It. One other fun thing to tell you guys about before we get to Luke and Kat is that in October of this year, we're doing something really awesome here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we are putting on Show It United. So October 18th, 19th, and 20th here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're doing United. It's going to be amazing. You can go to showitunited.com and check out our list of confirmed speakers so far, and more information on that coming soon. Also on the speakers tab, you can request to speak at Show It United. So we're putting together the schedule, and we have limited spaces available for speaking, but you can request to speak. It goes through this awesome process. It's actually decided by some of our community members as far as who's going to be there. So it's all about you guys. We want you to get the most out of Show It United. We want it to be topics that you guys want, people that you want to hear speak. So we're really, really excited about it. You can also check out, right there, right in the middle, that register button. You can register to attend Show at United. We have limited number of seats left. And then you can also reserve your hotel room at the Fire Sky Hotel, Resort, Spa, everything else that it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. So really looking forward to that. The weather will be amazing. The Sunday night beforehand, we're doing this awesome pool party. It'll be a great time. So really look forward to seeing you guys there. Go to showatunited.com to find out more. So without further ado, we have Luke and Kat Neumayr on the show. And so I wanted to show you guys their awesome website here. Give me just 1 second. Let's pull up. Perfect. All right. So Luke and Kat, if you guys go over to lukeandkat.com, you can view this beautiful website. Once again, they have all sorts of great transitions. You can find out all about Luke and Kat, and then you can also meet Lindsay and find out a little bit more about her. But my favorite is this little section, meeting Luke and Kat, and it gives you this beautiful little overview of who they are and what they love, and you can read about their story, and it's so great. It's just absolutely wonderful. There's their story, and there's a picture of a cow, which I'm from Nebraska, so I'm all about cattle. So let's find out a little bit more about them. Welcome, Luke and Kat.
Hey there. We are so excited to be here. Everything good? Can you guys hear us?
Yes, we can. I couldn't hear. I messed up my thing, but I can hear you. Welcome. How are you guys today?
We're great.
Good. I just got overwhelmingly nervous whenever our faces came up on there. I'm like, I'm gonna crawl underneath the table, and just talk with Kat, and I'll chime in when I have something to say.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So bye, Luke. Hi, Kat. It's awesome. Well, so tell me a little bit about why there's this cow on there, and then who are Luke and Catherine? Who are you guys?
Do you want to take that?
Sure. Well, I will just start and say I'm super excited to be here with you guys. I'm going to be distracted the whole time by the chat because I love reading what's going on over there. But I am the Kat half of Luke and Kat, and we are coming to you live from our house in Bowling, Texas. And we actually live on a cattle ranch. It's a working cattle ranch. We have both Brahman and Shorthorn cattle. So Field, you mentioned Shorthorns being from Nebraska, but Brahmans are more of a southern thing. And if you've never heard the word Brahman cattle, they are great cattle that have humps on their back. They have a single hump on their back, and maybe you have seen them before, and that's just kind of the type of cattle that we have. Luke and I both grew up showing cattle in 4-H and FFA. That was such a huge part of our life that when I was trying to pick my college of choice, I ended up going to school at Texas A&M on several agriculture-based scholarships. So with those scholarships, I earned my degree in animal science, which most people that have an animal science or animal husbandry degree go on to pharmaceutical sales or veterinary school or something of that nature. But I always knew that I was kind of a creative type. And actually, before I was a photographer, I worked for 7 years as a graphic designer for a livestock magazine, and prior to that, a livestock advertising agency. So kind of always creative by nature.
So I originally started out in Indiana. I am a Yankee, as I'm referred to down here in Texas. And I saw somebody else in the chat was from Indiana. That's awesome. But I grew up in a small rural town. It's the town that the basketball movie Hoosiers was filmed in. That's our little claim to fame. But I showed livestock just like Kat, and I was really active in livestock judging. And that's similar to kind of if you were a dog show, or if you had the print competition at WPPI, you would place the print, I think they are, and then that's compared to like the officials. So that's what led me to Texas A&M on a scholarship. My degree is in animal science as well, which always turns into this huge conversation piece when our brides walk in and see our, degrees hanging on the wall. They're like, what is animal science and how are you shooting weddings? Like, this makes no sense to them. And that's kind of, what we're going to talk about today, how we've made this transition from being out with cows and on horseback to talking to you guys today on Show It Live.
Yeah, so it seems like, I mean, to me, a very natural transition from raising cattle, judging cattle, designing for livestock type magazines to wedding photography.
Simple jump.
Yeah.
Connect the dots in less than 3 points, I think, honestly. that seems easy. So yeah, that's you brought up something, having brides come over and they're like, how did you get into this? Well, how did those brides hear about you guys? If you're cattle ranchers and all of that, like this is where I'm really interested, because you guys are very much so a small town. I know of a town near your town, and that's about as close as I can get.
Exactly. So we'll back up a little bit and kind of talk about how Kat and I got together and became Luke and Kat.
Yeah.
And how we've got to where we are now, because maybe just in our head it makes sense, like you were saying, how we got from one place to another. But we'll explain it to you guys and kind of walk you through the process of cattle ranching going into wedding photography.
Well, the easiest, shortest version is that whenever Luke graduated from college, what he thought he was going to be doing with the rest of his life was being a cattle rancher, like every other male member of my family. We're lucky that we have a ranch. Our ranch is called V8 Ranch, like the tomato juice, V8 Ranch. And it is a business that sustains several families. My sister and her husband both work on the ranch, and my grandparents and my parents. So Luke thought that that's what he was going to do. And one of his duties was taking pictures of cattle on the ranch.
Yeah, and Kat and I are super competitive people. Kat will flip a Monopoly board in a heartbeat if she thinks she's losing. So we wanted to learn to take the best cattle photos that we could. So we visited with our wedding photographer and looked at things, online, and tried to really hone our skill set on that. But since I was down here in South Texas and my whole family was up north, we were trying to find a way to keep in touch with them to where I wouldn't have to call my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and everybody and keep in touch with them. And I feel like it really sounds cliche now to say, like, we started a blog. But this was, many, many years ago, before, like 8-year-olds had blogs. Yeah. And so we would put our pictures up on there that we take around the ranch, but I'd also just take pictures of tractors, of hay fields, of anything that was going on in their daily life, and write a little blog about it. So then one of the guys that I was on the judging team with at Texas A&M reached out to us, and he was like, "Hey Luke, why don't you guys take our engagement photos?" I was like, "Bryce, I'd love to, but I don't know anything about people photos. Like, that's not me." And he's like, "Just do it. If it doesn't work, then who cares? We'll find somebody else." So we were like, "Okay, we're gonna try it." So Kat and I, again, researched everything, all day and night. And then we were like, all right, we've got this. We set up a time. We're like, you guys are going to start at noon. It was in the middle of August. I'm pretty sure it was 107 degrees out when we started.
We knew that we should be taking pictures in the evening, but we thought we need as much time as possible. They need to go ahead and get here at noon. We might need 10 hours to get these photos. So anyway, we worked, we took photos of this couple, and then really from there it just kind of snowballed. Just a lot of good things happened for us. We had several people reaching out to us to take pictures of not just wedding related events, but also families and things of that nature. So that's what created our business. And then after just our first year in business, we decided we wanted to focus only on weddings and engagements and bridals.
Yeah, and so as I started taking more portraits, more pictures of people, I didn't have the same amount of time to work on the ranch that I once did. So I had to make the decision, am I gonna chase this crazy dream, this idea that we have, or am I gonna say, nope, I'm going back to being a cowboy? Well, I was like, all right, we're gonna start our first business. It's called Our Little Ranch Photography. Judge us all you want to. It was awful because we live on the corner of Kat's family's ranch, and this one piece that we live on, there's 3,500 acres. Yeah. So we say, well, we don't know what's happening on your side of the ranch, but on our little ranch, the little yard fence we have, this is what's going on. So that's the name we had, and we have since got away from that. But I had to move away from ranching. Then Kat she had to make the decision to leave the magazine and come work for us, or we were going to have to hire somebody else on. So now we work both full-time for our business, and we've been able to, we had to step away from the ranch, but now we're kind of finding ways to get back involved in just different levels.
So as far as small town marketing, we live in a very, very small town, less than 1,000 people. We have a 4-way stoplight. We have a snow cone stand. We do not have a McDonald's. We don't have a Walmart or even a grocery store. So we live in a very small town, but we like living in our small town. We never had any ideas or dreams of moving to the big city because we love our house. We live in a house that's on the ranch that in a wonderful moment, one of those, life-changing moments on our wedding day, my grandfather gave us our house. So we knew that we never wanted to leave this place.
And I think you guys have a picture that you put up earlier of our little house over here that you can see. It's just, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, little itty bitty old farmhouse that's in the middle of nowhere. And then there's some pictures, some cows. There's our house, there it is. And then behind our house, if you walk out our back door, it's pastures of nothing but cows. And there you guys can see them. That is right outside our back door. I just walked outside and took that picture. So we really do live in the middle of nowhere. We just got unlimited high-speed internet, which is equivalent to indoor plumbing around here, I guess, because we're so excited about that.
I was going to say, what's awesome is I know a lot about that lifestyle. Like, I grew up in a town of 1,300 people. There was a McDonald's about 35 miles away. And so I get that, you don't want to move. You love that area. You love your home. So then, what's the process in following this dream of being wedding photographers and getting more clients than just, what's available in your town of less than 1,000?
Yeah, so initially when we started wanting to go more towards brides, more towards, like luxury weddings, we were thinking we have to get away from this whole ranch aspect. Like, they'll think we're all straw bales and bandanas around our face, But what we've come to realize is we've embraced where we are. We've embraced our location and used that as a huge selling point, because to the people that live around us here, that's not something that's unique to them. They all see cows every day. They see these pastures. But for brides coming from the city, from Houston or from other metropolitan areas, this ranch is like an oasis for them. They get to escape, and it's like this adventure they get to go on. So we've really honed in on selling that aspect and not making apologies for what it is, that we offer out here in the sticks.
So we definitely, making the decision to market to Houston versus our small town or the immediate, 20-mile radius, it was just such an easy one for us because we felt like in our area, in our small county, we have at least 10 to 15 photographers who are wanting to be wedding photographers, family photographers, children's photographers. It would be hard for us to stand out with our background as cattle ranchers in our small town because everybody knows somebody who's a farmer or rancher. But again, like Luke said, in Houston, that was something that was really unique to us. So we just decided to go ahead and branch out into Houston. And when we thought about the drive, it is about an hour drive from Houston down to us. We weren't scared of it because we believe that our ideal client is someone who is exactly like us. And we don't mind driving to Houston for something we love. We love Sprinkles cupcakes. I don't know if you guys have Sprinkles in Phoenix,
yeah.
But Sprinkles cupcakes are one of our absolute favorite things. And we drive an hour to get Sprinkles without even thinking. So we just kind of felt like, well, I'm sure if we're good enough to our brides and grooms, we could be someone's Sprinkles cupcakes, that they don't mind driving an hour to come out and see us.
Yeah, and Kat talked about our ideal client. I feel like in the photography industry, that's like this buzzword that everybody throws around, but I'm not sure if anybody really fully understands what that is for them. And Kat and I have thought about it very simply. Our ideal client is just like us, and they can afford our most expensive product. Mm-hmm. It's simple, it's straightforward. So with all of the millions of marketing strategies and everything out there, we just decided, okay, how is it that we like to purchase things? How do we like to make buying decisions? And that's what we have, structured our business around, because then it feels right. It feels authentic and genuine to us. And if it doesn't work, then it's on us. We can't have that excuse of saying like, oh, well, so-and-so said to do this, but it's not working for us. We just had to do what felt right to us. And that's the way that we've created all of these strategies and key points that we're fixing to talk about. Fixing to, I realize, is incredibly Texas.
No, I say it all the time. This is what we're fixing to do. Like,
good,
it's just the way it goes. Yeah.
I don't like such a hick anymore.
Well, no, and I love that, because I think that and I think that that's key for like all aspects of business, is thinking about like taking advice from other people. And if you have a great mentor or something like that, it's key to listen to what they're saying and to find out what's worked for them and what didn't work for them. But to take into account, like, you're Luke, you're Kat, like, it's going to be different for you guys, just like it's going to be different for everybody out there. Like, do what feels right to you, what you're comfortable with, and what you would want to be. Like, if you were the bride or if you were the potential client, here's the way I would want things set up. Here's what makes sense to me and why I would buy this, why I would book them now, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you mentioned our website, and I have to give props to Jeff Shipley of Tonic Site Shop, because he is who took our website dreams and made them a reality. We just got a new website right around the first of the year, and we're still pleased with it. When we were building our website, we really wanted to turn what would be perceived as a weakness, which is living outside of the Houston area, into our strength. Go ahead, Luke, and explain that.
Yeah, so the page that you brought up earlier, Field, that has the cattle on it, that's one of the very leading things in our story, because we met at a cattle show. When people come here, that's normally, there's cows at the fence right beside it. They think they're really getting out in the middle of nowhere, and they enjoy that, because we noticed we were going into Houston to do these shoots. But what our clients in Houston were wanting us to do was to find parks or other nature type places, and we were like, hold up, like, do you guys realize where we live? And we realized quickly that we weren't doing a good job of explaining that to them. And if you guys pull up pictures number 3 and 4, the first one is of our great friends, Brad and Kyla. We're going to talk about them a little later on. They're wonderful photographers in Des Moines, but they came all the way down from Iowa to have us take some pictures of them. And this is one of the typical scenes from the ranch. We have big, huge trees, moss hanging from them, wide open spaces, and that's great. We definitely want to showcase that, but in the next picture, and really what our number one focus is showcasing like the connection between two people. Behind them, it doesn't matter if it's an awesome tree or a lake or a swamp, whatever we have down here. So we want to make sure that we're able to mix the two, but when they're out taking their photos and see everything around them, even though their pictures might not showcase all of that, they still understand that experience and really value that experience out, in nature with their fiance, having a good time, getting to know each other and get to know us.
So, like Luke said, when we first had kind of started doing a lot of Houston weddings, we were driving into Houston and doing their engagement sessions. These were the way our engagement sessions work, and the way I think a lot of people's do work is they're complimentary. Like, we use them as a booking incentive. If they book within so many hours, within so many days, they get them. Well, when we were driving into Houston, it would take us an hour to drive into Houston. We would have to find somewhere to park. We aren't Houstonites or Houstonians. Let's say that word. We aren't Houstonians.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thanks, Phil. I don't know the area really well. We were relying on our clients to pick a lot of the locations. Things like where we could park were difficult. Things like where they could change were difficult. And then again, we would have a whole hour drive back home. So these complimentary engagement sessions were really about a 6-hour ordeal for us. And they were stressful because we didn't know what we were going to walk into. A big shift in our business happened when we started doing all of our engagement shoots or our bridal shoots here at our ranch. Our people love coming out here. They love coming out here. They don't have to worry about where they're going to park. They don't have to worry about a cop coming up and saying, like, you can't take pictures here, things like that. And then it just gives us an excuse to kind of slow down, take them out to dinner, kind of introduce them to a slower pace of life.
Yeah, and we know that coming out to the country, like anytime we go into town to get sprinkles, we're like, maybe we could get an apartment in here because it seems kind of fun. Then we get stuck in rush hour traffic, or then we don't find a place to park, and it's miserable. Like my anxiety level goes through the roof. So when we get out here back to the ranch, we can breathe like a sigh of relief. So we know that our couples feel the same way when we, offer that up to them. So after we book with our clients on the phone, we have a mandatory meet and greet out at the ranch. They have to come out here to our place. We wine and dine them, and we really put on a luxury experience for them, even though we're in the middle of nowhere.
So we kind of feel like, hey, you guys are going to drive probably an hour to come see us. We really want to make it worth your while. We have we love meat and cheese trays. I don't know who doesn't love them, but we have a meat and cheese tray. We have usually whatever our favorite wine is, and we just kind of sit there and visit a while. And then we also use that as a time to show our products. We are a tangible based business, and another reason I wanted to have them here is because I love buying. Hey, look, here's our website with that. I love buying. My guilty pleasure is designer purses. Oh. Specifically Louis Vuitton purse. I love a Louis Vuitton purse. I go into the store a lot, and when you go to the Louis Vuitton store, you stand in front of the counter and you point at what you want to see, and they put it in front of you and they show you all of the things that are unique to it. And then if you want it, you say, well, how much? And they say $2,400. We wanted to mimic that when we have people over to our house. So we do all of our, meat and cheese, visiting, laughing, but then we reach the point where we're like, hey, let's show you guys some of the stuff that we have, and we like to present it just like Louis Vuitton presents their purses. So we hold it out, we let them touch it, feel it, and we show them things that are unique about
So we
it.
really just went back again to the way that we like to buy, the things we like, and then have created a business around that. And I think so many times we photographers who think, we live in the middle of nowhere, or we live, in a suburb of a huge city. Well, if you come to our house, you'll see what living in the middle of nowhere really looks like. But our wedding this coming weekend is in Natchez, Mississippi. So that's, a long way away from us, but that's, we're not letting our location limit us by any means. And it's one that we've just embraced and really, ran forward with.
And I mean, good luck in Natchez. It's one of the most gorgeous places in the world.
So excited.
Yep, hoping for no rain, because if it rains, I'm not sure what we're going to do with this big plantation. But anywho, we're excited. We're really excited.
Well, we just had to come to terms with realizing that just because we live in the country doesn't mean that we can't provide a luxurious experience. And I kind of like to think of it like you can either go to New York City and there's skyscrapers all around you and have a luxurious experience, or you can go to a cabin in the mountains and have a luxurious experience, or Napa. So we just realized that here in our small town in the middle of nowhere, Texas, we can give our clients a luxurious experience.
Yeah, and we've really carried that kind of small town feeling to the way that we work with other vendors. Because not every wedding planner, not every vendor in Houston knows who we are. And we're fine with that. We don't have to know all of them, because Kat and I have always thought of kind of what is our end goal. Well, for us, our end goal is shooting 15 weddings a year. But when we break it down that way, we know not every wedding planner has to like us. We maybe only need 2 referrals from a wedding planner, 1 referral from a florist, 1 from another bride, and our calendar starts to get booked up pretty quickly that way.
So instead of thinking of, I need to conquer the whole city of Houston, which is very intimidating to us, we tried to think of Houston as its own little small town. So instead of thinking, well, there's 30 wedding planners in Houston, I need to meet all 30 of them, we just knew that we probably needed 3 or 4 that we could have a real genuine connection with. The same thing with venues. We haven't shot at every venue in Houston, but we have several that we shoot at over and over again, that we have strong connections with, where all of their staff members know our name, they refer us to their brides, and we feel like that kind of mimics that small town atmosphere that we like so much. We've just created that in a big city.
Perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit now about some of the questions we've received from other people or things we've heard from other photographers, kind of obstacles in their own mind, and hopefully shed a little light on to how you can get past that and move forward with your business and get some momentum going, and not just be so stuck on one little, obstacle that you don't think you can get around.
So the first thing that a lot of people say to us is, well, I can't have people out to my house because my house isn't blank. My house isn't nice enough, big enough, close enough to the city, or anything like that. And
full disclaimer, we have an outside dog named Dolores. She loves to go find like roadkill or dead things on the ranch. So there could be, a bride and groom fancy Escalade and get out and wearing the nicest clothes possible, and they're met by a dead squirrel on our porch. So, I mean, there's always something that can go wrong, but, if your house isn't big enough, or if you don't have someone, and there are our wonderful bulldogs, they are another big drawing point. It seems like more people like dogs than Cat and I, so they're running around slobbering. But there's always ways around that. If your house isn't nice enough, or maybe you're going through remodels or something like that, you can always find another place to meet. You can meet at a small little coffee shop, not a busy Starbucks. You can maybe meet at your parents' house or find some sort of little studio or some other place you can meet that you still feel comfortable in. You can also go to your client's house and meet with them there. There's so many other ways that you can meet with your clients. It doesn't have to be just at your own house.
So the other thing, this is kind of obvious, would be I'm too far away. I'm too far away from a big city. But like I said, we live 60 miles from Houston. We like to think of it as they could drive an hour in traffic to go from the west side of Houston to the east side of Houston, or or they could drive an hour south outside of traffic and get out of the city in 15 minutes and drive 45 more minutes in the country and be to our place. So it's just kind of changing the mindset of not apologizing for where you're at.
Yeah, an example of that for us is there's a wonderful bride and groom we met from Wyoming. We have always sold the ranch and sold how great it is, and that we take, all the pictures here and stuff like that. They booked with us. They flew down here for their complimentary engagement session. So they're from Wyoming. They flew to Texas, and it just goes to show, I'm not trying to be boastful or braggy about it, but when you just put yourself out there and say, this is me, this is what we want, take it or leave it, then you start getting those clients from anywhere that want you no matter where you're at. They're going to come, they're going to fly to get the sprinkles cupcakes. They're going to do whatever they need to do to get the product that they want.
So another thing is nobody knows who I am. That's kind of a very common thing. You can talk about our buddies.
Yes, so Brad and Kyla, we talked about them earlier. They were the hotties in the pictures with the tree and all of that stuff. There they are. They moved from Texas to Des Moines. And their very first year in Des Moines, they shot 20 weddings. So they didn't know anybody. They didn't have, the option to go have lunch or to have dinner with vendors. And side note, Kat and I have never gone and had lunch or breakfast or met with vendors. Our only interaction with them is at a wedding, or if we happen to run into them someplace else. So I know that's something you can do, and it's great if you can, but don't limit yourself to thinking, I can't meet with these people, so I can't do X. You can still do it because Kat and I are doing it. We value our time out here on the ranch. But back to Brad and Kyla. They had just, started.
They're show of tears.
They are show of tears. Brad and Kyla. They had just known to reach out to some of these vendors and to start trying to make those connections before they even got up there. And then when they got up there, they basically had all the work they needed ready to go and all lined out. And they were marketing to Des Moines from Texas.
Basically, no matter what you're doing, you feel like you have to, and I guess I have a lot of Vince Lombardi quotes in my head, but you have to just be willing to hustle. And that's what so much of our business successes came down to, is that in that exact moment where we would have the thought of, well, maybe I could do that, we would do it. We would go ahead and make the move and do that. Also, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time, or I have a day job. That's what's holding me back. But like Luke said, we've never shared a meal with a vendor. We've never called somebody and said, let us take you to lunch. We do all of our spoiling via shooting weddings with them, the way we interact with them, and then after the wedding, we really take great care of them, sending them images, sending them handwritten notes, and then referring them to our couples. That's kind of just the way that we have made those great connections.
Yeah, and I know everybody's schedule is busy. You know, whether you have a full-time job or you have kids or, you know, whatever it is, you can always find like a little extra, maybe go to bed at 11 instead of going to bed at 10, or not playing slots on Facebook like I am incredibly guilty of. You can always find little areas here and there to squeeze out a little more time in your week, or take off one day a month from your full-time job and then, you know, just devote it solely to building your business and doing what it is that you want to do. And like Kat mentioned, for us, it doesn't matter how much we make plans or make lists or have these big ideas. For us, it's the execution of that. It's saying, here's what we're going to do. We have to make progress. We have to get some momentum going. And like, so here's what we're going to do today. And there's a wonderful book, we learned about it from Trevor Daly, called Rework. If you haven't read it, I can't read. If you haven't, read the book.
Read the
We'll
book.
discuss it later when I learn English again. But one of the wonderful quotes in there, it says, it's better to have a kick-ass half than a half-assed whole.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have everything lined out. You don't have to know what you're going to do with the bride and groom after the wedding because you haven't even booked them yet. You know, there's ways to go ahead and kind of learn as you go through the process.
Just in conclusion, kind of a quote that we also read in Rework. Man, that's a hard word to say.
I know, you're making fun.
Kind of what we want to leave you guys with is a quote that says, what you do is what matters, not what you think or say or plan.
Yeah, so I would challenge you guys to write down 5 things that you're wanting to do and do those. Don't do anything else until you get those 5 things done. Whatever those things are, you know what those things are that you need to do, and just get them done, because you can't pile more things on a plate that already has stuff on it. You know, it'll overflow, you'll get crazy. Thanks, Corey. Your wife will get incredibly mad at you for making a mess on the floor, but if you have a clean plate and you go to the Chinese buffet, you can pile all sorts of stuff on there.
Yeah,
Well,
now I really want a Chinese buffet. So thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you for that.
Yes.
That's what I was supposed to learn, right?
That is the main takeaway.
Yeah.
The other main takeaway, if you guys love hearing about our stories out here on the ranch, is sign up for our newsletter.
Yes.
We'll try to put the link in the chat room, but I know we sent the link to y'all field, so I don't know if there's a way that you guys can put that in the letter or something like that. But we always use stories from the ranch to talk about other things that are happening, other ideas in the industry or stuff like that. So definitely tune in there.
Yeah, we'll put those links at the bottom underneath the video once the show's over. I'll go in and make sure that those all get added on there.
Perfect.
For sure. Well, guys, thank you so much for all of your knowledge and all you just sharing your experiences with us. I think it's fantastic, and it's really encouraging to see 2 people embrace who they are so well, and being able to market that and really get people to fall in love with like who you guys are and the whole experience. I think it's fantastic, and that's something that everybody can do. Now, we did have a question out there. So how did you build your portfolio when you were just starting? So I didn't get to read that whole thing, JT, sorry. How did you read that portfolio when you guys were just styling or just starting out, so your clients could find out about you? Did you connect with tons of vendors, doing styled shoots? How did you guys start? I mean, other than the cattle.
Other than the cattle, yes. So the way it started and the way we booked our first wedding, when we booked our first wedding, Kat and I still haven't second shot any weddings. We haven't, done anything like that. So what we said was, we just think that our past portfolio speaks of the quality of work that you can expect to get. Is that pictures of flowers and hay bales? For us, it was. Is it pictures of, these styled shoots like you mentioned, Shelly, that you've been able to do? There's always ways to kind of find a loophole or find a way around it and not get stuck in thinking, well, I have all this, this gorgeous portfolio, but it doesn't have a bride and groom. If you need a bride and groom, maybe you have a great friend or a new couple at church or somebody you know. Just say, hey, I want to use your warm bodies to take pictures of. There's always ways to go out there and get the subjects that you need. For us, sometimes that's cattle, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's Wilma Hudson or bulldogs. So just, if you have a need, you know what that need is, just find a way to make it happen.
No,
Shelly, I wanted to just expand on that and say that our first year in business, when we decided that we wanted to start accepting weddings, the only way of marketing ourselves that we knew of at that point was attending a local bridal show here in our small town. Our first year of shooting weddings, we did 2 bridal shows within a 1-month period. And that year we did 11 weddings. And the next year we did 30 weddings. And then now, like Luke said, we're in our happy place of 15 a year. But we don't do bridal shows anymore. We've never done bridal shows past those first 2. But that was a good way for us to kind of get that ball rolling and get the momentum going. And then using those first 11 weddings that we booked just based off of those bridal shows, we were able to start connecting with those vendors, having images to share, having those brides and grooms refer us, things like that. So I know that there's a lot of people that think bridal shows aren't a good way to spend your time, but for us, that was a good way to start out. We don't go to them now, like I said, but that when we were first starting out, that was a good tool for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that there's really a good market for bridal shows, depending on where you are in your business and what you're charging. Like I think that finding out where you are in your market and then figuring out like where that fits with the bridal show markets, the other people who attend, the other vendors involved, like doing a little bit of research, I think becomes huge there.
Exactly. Like Kat said, it got us a core group of clients right in the door. To answer the question about,
Read the question.
okay, it says, when you meet with them for the meet and greet at your home, do they come out for a second time for the engagement session? Yes, so they'll come out for a meet and greet. They'll come out for an engagement session. They'll come out for a bridal session. They might come out again to our house after the wedding for a preview party if they live close. And then they'll probably come out to our house again just to hang out if we like them. So, there's probably 4 or 5 times that they will be driving an hour to come see us. So they might have, 10 hours in round trip just driving back and forth. But we know that we like to have them here. And just like if you go to a museum, all of the images that you see there are displayed in a way that makes you appreciate them. We want to have that same effect when our couples come here. We have big canvases. I think you can see Kat's hand over, where is it?
Yeah, right.
Right back behind us.
Other way. You are
There
left.
you go. Yeah, so when they come in, they can see the way that we display our images and give them ideas for the same way that they can do it in their own home.
I think that's awesome. So, and then Tracy had a question that actually sounds a lot like your guys' story. So, debating on what to put up in their city as far as like website vendor listings. They live. It's about 60 miles north of their target area. I think so. Yeah. How do you get around that idea of people thinking that maybe you charge more because you're not quote unquote super local? Or
yeah. So what we do is, since Houston is like our target market, we don't charge travel to Houston because it's an hour to drive into there. It's not that bad for us, but
we feel like that is the cost of doing business. We want to photograph Houston weddings, so we don't charge travel for Houston weddings. One way we have cut down on that, like we mentioned, is doing all of the bridal sessions and engagement sessions at our house. So when someone adds on a bridal or engagement session, it says clearly, at Luke and Kat's place. Both of those say at Luke and Kat's place. And then if they do want us to go into Houston, then they would incur travel on that. And on our website, we have everything listed as Houston wedding photographers. Our Facebook says we're located in Houston. And as far as the local people, the people that know us locally, they know that we are here in Bowling, Texas. And we do get a couple of weddings every year from someone that is local to our small town. And that's just because the word of mouth in our area, they do know us. But on paper and on the internet, we appear to be from Houston.
Awesome. So hopefully that answered all of your questions. Once again, guys, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on and being so genuine and wonderful, and for showing off pictures of not only your dogs, but the cattle.
Exactly. Yes.
So, and then what would be the best way, if people had more questions, what would be the best way for people to ask you guys?
Yeah, so we'll stay in the chat room here a little bit longer once we sign off here to visit with anybody else that has questions. But lukeandcat.com is our website. It's got links to our Instagram, Facebook, blog, everything like that on there. So go to lukeandcat.com, look at how great the bulldogs are and the cows, and then reach out to us. My personal email is luke@lukeandcat.com. You guys are more than welcome to email me directly, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Oh, well, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Been an absolute pleasure. Glad I got to meet you guys and know you guys. So, and then everybody, thank you once again for tuning in. We will see you guys next week when we have another Southern sweetheart on. Cassie Jones is going to be joining us. So can't wait to see you guys next week as well. Have a great day out there. Remember, go to showitunited.com to find out more about that. And then also showaccount.com, log in and you can get started on your blog migration. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next week.